Good morning. It's Monday morning and we have just started daylight savings. So it might not be 8:30 for you if you're in Queensland and other places. So New South Wales has just gone into daylight savings this morning. And so what did I do? I got encouraged to do was to wake up this morning at 5:30, which would have been 4:30, and go and watch the sunrise. So I've been up for a little while, and it was lovely. Just getting up was a little bit harder than what I anticipated. But anyway, the things you do to enjoy life, right? Because it was beautiful down the beach. It was nice and cold. The sand was cold, and it was lovely watching all the boats go out early in the morning. And it was just, there was no wind, so it was a beautiful, beautiful morning. So what did you do this morning? How did you start your day? Because I wanted this pause to be all about, it's all about you, right? It's all about you. And what do I mean about that? You can either have life happen to you, or you can have life happen for you. And it's all a matter of perspective. Because when life is happening to you, you're powerless to your circumstances and to what's happening in your environment and to the way you react to people that trigger you. And you define the world in a certain way where you make judgments of what's right and wrong and good or bad. And you can also go into a place, well, what happens is you define your life and what's happening to you and how you're reacting to life from the data bank that has been programmed in when you were a little kid, right? And genetically through your, genetic disposition. So however your family structure was, generations, at least 7 generations, and most of us have got no idea what was happening to our family, our forefathers 7 generations ago or longer, right? So how they were reacting to the world, and we as humans have evolved consciously since then. So just think about when, 7 generations at least ago, there was a lot of reacting to life, not recognizing that they could respond to life, right? So what happens is when you're having life happen to you, you feel like you're out of control when someone says something that you don't like, or you come across somebody that doesn't fit your mold or your way of being, and they piss you off, right? Like road rage, right? For example, or someone cutting in a queue, or someone being rude to you, like servicewoman or serviceman at a shop being rude to you, or not treating you the way that you feel they should treat you. And so we can react, and when you react, you're powerless to the situation. A reaction is something that's unconscious, and so therefore you're having an action without having the opportunity to process it and come from a conscious way of behaving. It's an unconscious way of behaving. And through that process, that is from old information from your childhood, right? Potentially before, well, most of the time, before you're even from 0 to 7. So something happened in your childhood and a program gets wired in to our unconscious, into our brain. This is the way I behave in this situation. And so when you're reacting to life, you think that things happen to you. And I've watched this in the spiritual, I've been on a spiritual journey. For those that are new to this group, by the way, my name is Elizabeth Elenor, and if I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you, I've been on this spiritual journey for about 24 years now. Go in and check out the video. It was our 3rd anniversary in September, and I just did a new introduction video in Women of Light Movement Facebook group, which is very exciting because I watched the one prior, and it was when we'd only been there for a year. We had I think 700 people in our group, and so yeah, it's been a really beautiful journey watching this group expand and grow. So if you want to know a little bit more about me, then jump in and watch that introduction. But I've been on this spiritual journey for about 24 years. Next year will be 25 years. I'll have to do something exciting. And through that process, I've seen a lot of changes and evolution in our thinking as a whole collective. And I remember that when, people were sort of starting to get into law of attraction and understanding that we, create our reality and all that sort of stuff. And I watched so many people go, create something like, a new relationship or, a new job. And, oh yeah, I created that, right? That was me. I did that. And I watched when something happened, like they had a car accident or, a health crisis or whatever, and go into two things. Either I didn't do that, that wasn't my creation, or go into total sabotage of, oh my God, what does that mean? And we've all done it, right? If you're on a spiritual journey, you're looking up Louise Hay to see, oh, my right shoulder, and what does that mean? What have I done wrong, right? Like, I'm not perfect. If you're watching, please put hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. But if you're watching either way, have you been on that journey? I know I have. Like, oh my gosh, what's happening with my left femur? What's going on there? Let's look it up and define it so I can beat myself up even more because I'm doing something wrong, right? And don't ever tell anyone out there in the spiritual realm, because oh my gosh, then everyone else will know I'm imperfect as well, and then they're going to judge me, right? Oh my gosh, the stuff that we used to do, and some people are most probably still doing it. We're human. If you're still trying to be perfect, it actually means that you're in your unconscious dialogue. You're still in your sabotage beliefs, and you're not recognizing that we're freaking human. And the dichotomy of the whole thing is we're separate, we're individual, we're here to experience it being human, and we're part of this massive collective that we are super conscious, we are part of the all. And so we've got the ability to be, really high vibration, enlightened, blah, blah, blah. And we're on a journey of self-discovery and remembering that, right? So don't beat yourself up anymore. Know that you are okay. You're not broken. There's part of you where we're born into a broken world that keeps us in that recognizing that we're broken and we're not, right? So give yourself a little bit of a reprieve, and it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to have, you know, your right femur doing something weird or whatever it might be. Doesn't mean that you are any less than anybody else, right? And that's what we did. We do. We go into beating ourselves up because we're not doing what we should be doing, right? And we're still trying to be perfect. And there's all of this programming from our unconscious that's still running in the background from this wounded little girl and boy, if you're watching on a different channel, that got told, don't do this, don't do that, because I said so. All of these things that then locked into our energy field, into our mind, that I'm not good enough to do that, or if I'm curious I get punished because I've got to be more conformed, right? In my family there's conformity, you know, you've got to behave and you've got to do all these things and you can't be curious. Those things can actually lock in, and next thing you know, you're an adult who wants to create a new business, right? Or you know, go do something crazy like, you know, these death-defying freaking jumping out of a plane and all this stuff, like go and be curious and excited, and you don't allow yourself because it's locked into your unconscious that is not the way we behave in our family, right? So there's this conflict within us. And we start defining the world from outside of ourselves. This is good, that's bad. And we judge other people, right? This is the way it is. I don't like this person because they're not behaving the way they should. They, you know, should be behaving this way, and it's against what my understanding is, or who I choose to be as myself. And so therefore I'm going to accuse them of whatever it might be, right? And so until we recognize that it's all us, until we can be part of the all and recognize that we have the ability, we can take the power back. We can be what I call the predominant creative force in our lives. Until we recognize that and understand how to even do that, how to, you know, I had a really intense, crazy journey with my mum. My mum, I even just picked up another thing on the weekend. My mum, now I can say, you know, my dad was on a kidney machine, right? And so he got sick after having 2 kids, actually 3 kids. So my mum had 3 boys, one of them was a stillborn, right? And not long after Bradley, the stillborn, I was born, and somewhere after that, so what I've been doing when I'm processing, it's around about 4 that, and I've got to ask mum and find out the confirmation, but anyway, that's what I get, is around about 4 was when they actually they found out that dad was sick and he had to go on a kidney machine. They didn't even, they couldn't, as far as I've heard, he was sick for a while before they recognized what was going on with his, you know, he had one kidney disappeared altogether and the other one was the size of a pea, right? So formative years for me, right? And so there was a lot of stuff. I just over the weekend found another one through, you know, what I do is recoding, where I went back to that timeline of being 4 years old, and what was going on. There was chaos in the house. Now, when you look as an adult, and I can look up from a higher perspective, you can imagine mum, who'd been brought up in a pretty crazy family already, and had a lot of her own stuff going on, and still does. All of a sudden, she thought she had a healthy husband. All of a sudden, he's sick. She's got 2 kids. She's got 3 kids, right? 2 boys that were pretty intense and crazy and rebellious, and wild, and a sick husband who, as soon as he found out he was sick, and this is what happened on the weekend when I recognized, he went straight into victim mode, and she didn't know how to cope, so she was overwhelmed. And in that moment, as a 4-year-old, I checked out. That's what the word was. I've been trying to work it out. I checked out. Everything was chaotic. I went into overwhelm. I went into I'm not coping, and I checked out. Now, I have been able to recognize that in other situations in my life. I've had 3 relationships that I checked out, right? Unconsciously. Became overwhelming, stuff going on that I defined as not good, right? And definitely the first one was, well, both of the first 2 definitely were intense, and they weren't good, right? Because I had created that because of my wounding. And I check out. I'm out of there. Like I've left, I'm gone. And so, until I recognize that, all of this stuff with my mum, all of this stuff, this baggage that I had, and these contracts of looking after her and being the one that was responsible, and I took on everybody's emotions, and I had to look after the family. You know, at 12 years old, I was shopping for the whole family because mum had to work, and my dad stayed in that victim role. He was, was on the kidney machine 3 times a week, and just, you'd ask him how he is, and he'd say, "Oh, I'm feeling flat today." Like that was one of his normal responses. "I'm feeling flat today." And so, all of this stuff, all of these entanglement that I had with my mum, and it was all her fault, right? Until I understood and unraveled what was going on for me. And because, when you're in your 20s, you start moving into trying to work out who you are, and through that process you start blaming, and you start finding, this is this and this and this and this and this is because this is why I am the way I am, But as you move, and if you are open to your own evolution and process, then you start looking internally and stop giving the power away outside of yourself. Why am I reacting to this? What's going on internally within myself that I can look at and and understand why I was triggered here, or why I reacted to that, or why I took that action, or why I did whatever, and then be able to look at that and find where it is within your own unconscious, within your own neural pathways, so that you can respond and take your power back. Now, I just happen to be blessed to be able to do that with a process that I call recoding. And it's very, very exciting, because instead of having to do all the hard work and keep, pulling ourselves out of that, you can actually go up to the superconscious, where we are all one, go up to the oneness and say, hey, see those codes, those neural pathways that are firing together and won't shift. Let's change them, because they no longer serve. They were appropriate at the time, right? They helped us survive at the time, but now they actually don't fit anymore, right? So when you do it from that higher perspective, from that higher consciousness, at that level, you can just change the codes, bang, 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 really, really quickly, and they become permanent. You know, the very first thing that changes physically is the neural pathways shift, and the synapses don't fire together anymore, so the pattern changes, right? It's a beautiful, beautiful, very easy, quick and safe process. It's very gentle. It's a really, really beautiful process. Now, I want to share with you a story that I used to tell my children, and hopefully you'll like. It's such a beautiful, simple story. It's called The Little Soul and the Sun. So you may have heard me, if you've been on here for a while, you may have heard me talk about it before. So The Little Soul and the Sun is a children's book from Neil Donald Walsh, and he wrote Conversations with God 1, 2 and 3, and you know, his heaps of books, right? Amazing, amazing, very, very beautiful, humble man. So The Little Soul and the Sun, this is the gist of it, and I want to share it with you because it's such a simple way to explain us being, you know, in our spiritual journey. So the little soul goes up to God and says, "Hey God, I've just worked out who I am." And God goes, "Oh, that's really cool, you know, like, that's really cool." So off he goes, and he's chuffed, you know, off he goes. And so he comes back and he says, "You know, now that I know who I am, now that I remember who I am, I'd love to go back down and experience who I am." And so God says, "Okay, that's really cool. Which part of who you are would you like to experience?" So they go through all these different virtues, and the little soul goes, "You know what? I want to be the part that is forgiving." And God says, "Okay, so, well, who is there to forgive, right?" So this friendly soul comes along, and she says, "You know, we have been together so many times and in so many lives, and I know I love you and I know you love me. I'm going to come down with you, and I'm going to lower my vibration so deeply, so low, that I'm going to be right in the darkness, and I'm going to do something that's going to cause you to do something that's going to hurt you in some way, and so that you can experience yourself as forgiving. Now, please remember who you are, because if you don't, we're going to have to get somebody else to come down and remind us who we are, right?" Gist of the story, really, really beautiful. You can actually find it on YouTube, Little Soul and the Sun. The whole story, and the illustrations are amazing. If you've got little kids or grandchildren or something, definitely get the book, because it's just such a beautiful way to explain it. Because I want to share another story with you. My children grew up on that book, and when 9/11 happened, my kids were 7 and 8 or something around those, you know, 6 or 7, something around those ages. And my brother and his friend were up, and as everybody knows, chaos happened. If you remember where you were, that's because it's locked into your neural pathways, right? Big events like that are locked in for us to remember. And so chaos happened even in far north Queensland, right? I used to live up there at the beach. And so everyone went into chaos, the kids at school, everything went crazy. And my brother and his friend lost the plot. "Oh my God, we've got to go back down to Sydney. You know, there's going to, you know, be in Australia. Oh no, Sydney's going to be next. We've got to stay here." And they just lost it. So a couple of days later, my daughter comes up to me, bawling her eyes out, totally stressed out. "Mum, what is going on? Why is everyone losing it? Why did those men do that?" Right? And I said to her, "Carly, remember the little soul and the sun?" She said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, those men in that plane are the friendly soul." And out of, you know, babes and their innocence, she just went, oh, so we just have to forgive them." And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Oh, I can do that." Bang, gone, completely gone. She just recognized in that moment that she just has to forgive. And she is very, very good at that still, because it was still in those formative years, right? So, who is the friendly soul in your life that is here helping you have life happen for you instead of to you? Who is the friendly soul that is here? I've got to tell you, I was totally blessed to actually have the opportunity to talk to Neil Donald Walsh. He's in America, but I spoke to him online, and I told him that story, and he was in tears. He was so humbled and grateful that he had the opportunity to make such a dent in somebody's life like that. You know, like he'd had that all around the world, right? But and you know, I feel blessed to be able to share that potentially this is something that could be changing your life. This week, let's think, who's the friendly soul in my life that all I have to do is see them in their light? And, you know, who is there to forgive? If we are, all of us are in that field of, you know, we're all the same at a higher level, then there is no one to forgive. It's all just a reflection of us. And the more you become whole and recognize your own empowered being, the more you can respond to life rather than react. Excuse me. And so when you are sovereign, when you are in your own being, your balance, then those things do not affect you. They you make a choice how you're going to respond rather than a choice of reacting, or not a choice, just a unconscious experience of reacting because this is what I do, this is how I react to life, right? Now, I want to share a couple of things. One of the ways, and I want to do this as another pause, I was one of these spiritual people that didn't see and recognize the power and the advantage of meditation. So I'm pretty good at meditating. I did, you know, in my 20s, I went to a 10-day Noble Silence Vipassana retreat. Very, very intense. It's definitely something that I want to go back and revisit, actually. It's a beautiful process, not for the faint-hearted. It's an amazing process. And yet I didn't see the value of meditating every single day. And I have changed that. I now recognize that for us to really connect in with that higher aspect of ourselves, and not be sucked into our unconscious patterning and the world beliefs and views and what the world is trying to pull you into, the fear, and all of those things that are happening out in the world, it's really important to be in your own sovereignty, to be in choice. And part of that process is meditating every morning, and making choices of how your day is going to go. I have just, I'm really excited because I have just become a meditation teacher on Insight Timer. If you don't know Insight Timer, it's an app that you can get on your phone, and basically it's just full of meditations. And so I have, I think, 3 that are approved at the moment. There's a 4th one coming very shortly that's a chakra balance and clearing meditation. But I've got one there, white light meditation, a money manifestation one, and living the life that you love. And so creating every morning your choice of how you're going to have your life, your day go, is one of the ways that you take back your power. You start living as the predominant creative force in your life. You make choices rather than, you respond to life rather than react. And so I'm going to put the link in the bottom so that if you want to, you can go in. I'd love for you to rate that. As soon as I'm up for a month, if I've got a particular rating, then I can start doing live events on there, and start, you know, sharing the magic with other people. One more thing I want to share is that I'm also, one of my choices is that I want to influence as many women, or thousands of women. This is one of my choices and missions for my life, is to influence as many women as possible to wake up to their divine wisdom. And so on the weekend, I recognized that I needed to put another word in there to have fun, influencing as many women as possible to wake up to their divine wisdom, right? So, because I'm all in for fun. So I'm going to start next Monday at 6:30 in the morning. So if you're an early riser, that's for you. Somewhere between 15 and 30 minutes of orientating to a magic week. So I can't remember what I called it, but it was like something Magic Monday or something like that, where we're going to actually orientate so that we're actually making choices Monday morning of how we want our week to go, and we're visualizing that so that we're actually creating in our own sovereignty instead of reacting to life and letting our unconscious take over. So if that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, 6:30 Sydney time, so we're in daylight savings, that might be 5:30 for you in Queensland. Sorry, somebody else said it was 4:30 for them, and they're keen and they still want to come on. I think it's in WA. And if that's for you, please put yes please down the bottom. I'm going to put the link in as well so that people can register and we can jump on, and you know, I might even do some clearing and coaching, possibly. We'll see how it all pans out. Don't know how long I'm going to do it for. I want it to be fun, so I'm not going to say it's a permanent thing at the moment. If it becomes unfun, I won't do it anymore. So that's me for Monday. Take care. I will put the links in here for Insight Timer, and if you want to jump onto the Magic Monday manifestation, I forget what I'm calling it, just put yes please, and we'll send you the link for that so that you can register. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your week. Reflect on who are the friendly souls in your life, and have the most amazing week possible. Take care.